A couple of updates as things start to come out that frankly contradict each other about the big slap. And by the way, I'm just seeing now who's someone I assume you love. I actually do love Fran Lebowitz commenting on it, but she does have a great quote here that I'll read at the end. Anyway, let's get into some of it. You know, we talked last week about Chris Rock's ticket prices for the Wilbur shows just soaring. Well, everybody wanted to hear what he had to say. You know, my least favorite phrase on the planet, Brian hates unearthed, I hate breaking your silence. This is, people wanted Chris to break his silence.
Disqualified.
This is how you use it. So he didn't really get into it, but he did acknowledge it. Somebody, and it sounds like iPhone footage, so you're really going to kind of have to listen. I guess gave this to Vanity Fair because Vanity Fair posted this on Twitter. This was the very opening of, I think, the first night of the Wilbur shows.
I don't have like a bunch of shit about what happened. So if you came to hear that, I had like a whole show I wrote before this weekend. And I'm still kind of processing what happened.
All right, we get it. It doesn't seem that intriguing to me to hear what he has to say about it, but I get everyone's talking about it.
I want to hear what Jada has to say about it.
I would be more interested in what she had to say about it.
And then people did start publications started posting sort of the back of her head of her kind of like smiling and laughing during the whole thing. So whatever. I'd love to. I can't wait for the red table talk on that.
There was a, I don't know, TMZ or something had some back angle of her like laughing after Will hit him or slapped him.
So meanwhile, Oscars producer Will Packer spoke with Good Morning America on Friday and provided a few more details, but again, some contradict others. Packer says he initially thought that they were doing a bit, but understood it was real once Will started screaming at him. Packer met Rock backstage immediately after the incident and said Rock was still in joke mode, but was clearly in shock. He says he asked him if Smith really hit him, and Rock responded, I just took a punch from Muhammad Ali. Packer says he and Rock spoke with LAPD, who said they could arrest Smith for battery if Rock wanted to press charges, but the comedian was dismissive, said, no, I'm fine. Packer added that Smith was going to be forcibly removed from the show before the Best Actor award was given out, but he told the Academy leadership that he should be allowed to stay because Chris Rock said it was okay. In an update about pending disciplinary action against Smith, the Academy said Smith refused to leave the Dolby Theater and that now the Academy is investigating it and could suspend him or expulsion or other sanctions for his actions.
I'm confused that in this modern era, we can't figure out whether somebody approached from the theater, from security, Will Smith during a commercial break and asked him to leave or not.
Right.
Does that seem pretty knowable?
Yes.
Yeah, and I imagine there was a lot of cell phone footage from people on the upper deck.
Right.
Everybody had to be doing something. Now, maybe they zipped them in a bag and they didn't let you have them, but they did the same thing with Chris Rock's show at the Wilbur, and somebody got something.
Maybe you're right about the hoi polloi, the upstairs people, but I saw in the background of many shots, celebrities at least, on their phones. So.
Well, and there was a shot from the balcony.
Will Smith tweeted like 10 minutes after it.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's shots from the balcony, badly stated, but of Denzel and Tyler Perry talking to Will Smith, and they're trying. So there's people in the peanut gallery, trying to figure out who he's talking to.
Well, I will say this that will probably add to the confusion, which is, from what I remember from the Oscars, everyone dresses in a tuxedo. So I think security's like in a tuxedo. They don't look like bank guards.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you wouldn't see somebody with a marked outfit walking up. You'd see somebody in a tuxedo.
Is that Mel Gibson? No, it's security.
Right. But this is great. Comedian Marlon Wayans shared an old video of his brother Sean Wayans doing his Chris Rock impression on the 2000 MTV Music Video Awards. Were you there?
2000?
Yeah.
Probably.
It is so good. It's like 3 minutes, so I just cut it down to like 40
All right.
seconds. It's so good. He's impersonating Chris Rock, insults everybody. Of course, Will Smith laughing at all the jokes. Here's a clip.
Britney Spears got her new album out, her new song. Oops, I did it again. Oops, she did it again. She did it again, y'all. What the did you do the first time?
Brittany, not loving it.
Not loving it.
There's another
We
couple
got
good ones.
Eve here. Oh, my bad. That's Cisco.
Long
We
song.
got a little bit of Destiny's Child here tonight. That's right. Got the new hit song. Say my name, say my name. What name? Every time I learn the name, you kick the out the group. I say your name. How about temporary?
It's amazing.
It's also kind of sad that he could actually just do his act.
Yeah.
Or an act that's equal
They're good
to
jokes.
his act.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's sort of, well, it's like when we were was talking to Yardley Smith, and she was telling me that famous Michael Jackson Simpsons
Yeah,
episode had he did all the dialogue, but he couldn't sing the song because contractually, whatever. And so a guy came in and sung the Happy
Michael
Birthday
Right.
as Michael
Yeah.
Jackson.
Happy birthday, Lisa.
Yeah, but it was like it's kind of as good as Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh, about it.
Well, that's lore. It was it ever really Michael Jackson? And then something about he wasn't credited in the credits of that episode.
Right. But then Kip Lennon is his name, and he's now with Ambrosia,
Oh, shit.
Amazing.
the band. But
Makes sense.
might this be? You know, I'm always kind of sitting around thinking, it's like, why do we love sports so much? Why do we love sports? Now, we love sports because it's a meritocracy. You know, all the rich white ass owners of every NFL team and all their kids and they love football. They've all played. Many have played a lot of college ball. Never started for their team. What kind of merit? Even some of these owners arguably had kids that did okay in college, maybe started in a decent program, still not good enough to make my team that I own.
Yep.
And that's what we love about it.
Yeah.
Now in a world where it's like, hey, we need a diverse this, we need a diverse that, we look at everyone and go, does he really belong there? Or is that really just because he said he was transitioning or whatever? It fucks everything up. But here's the reason we love sports. When the Wayans brothers can go up there and do Chris Rock and actually be every bit as funny as Chris Rock, it sounds exactly like him, so on and so forth. I mean, Chris is great, but you can simulate it.
No.
Well,
and
credit to them. They're funny. They can put it on those
very
videos.
talented.
not
Off the
everyone can
streets.
do it, but they can do it. And then the skinny white guy can do the Michael Jackson voice, and he did it in front of Michael Jackson, by the way, who was at the table reading, whatever. He can do it. Who gets to simulate Michael Jordan? Who gets to simulate
Plenty have
Kobe?
tried.
Yeah.
Who gets to simulate that? You know what I mean? It can't be done. Now they could have an actor play Magic Johnson, but they
Right.
got a
Lot of cutaways.
Yeah. You can't
Yeah.
even pretend to do it.
Yeah. Good
All right,
point.
sorry.
Well, I'm glad you brought up football. Let's talk about some tweaks to the Rooney Rule, which now is part of our lexicon. There's no reason I should know what it is, but yet we all know what it is now. They're tweaking the Rooney Rule in the wake of the former Dolphins coach Brian Flores suing the league over issues regarding race. Interviewing a woman for a coaching or front office position will now count toward Rooney Rule fulfillment, and interviews with women and minorities must take place in person to qualify, so no more the phone. Also, every team must hire a minority offensive assistant coach for the 2022 season.
That's the one that seemed like a tough one for me. The tough one for them to pull off. You have to have a minority assistant offensive. They say offensive.
Sorry, I missed that
coordinator?
last part.
Minority offensive assistant coach.
Or woman.
Yeah, but there's
That now counts as a minority, yes.
25 offensive coaches. You know what I mean? Line coach, interior line coach, extra.
They'll break
Yeah.
it off into something smaller.
Receivers coach,
Well,
tight ends coach.
okay. All right.
I feel like it's doable.
Okay.
That shouldn't be a high bar.
Right.
Right.
Well, we didn't talk about the Razzies, my God. And I'm glad we're bringing them up now because there has been a Razzie rescinded, which they've only done one other time, and I'll share that with you too. The Razzie
The
Award.
performance got better.
Well,
No,
sort of the
go
opposite. The Razzie Awards have
Oh,
rescinded
Bruce Willis.
the worst performance by Bruce Willis in 2021. In a statement, co-founders John Wilson and Mo Murphy said they made the decision due to his recently disclosed diagnosis of aphasia. The actor's been diagnosed, we talked about it, with this cognitive disorder and announced that he's stepping away from acting. Have you talked to Dr. Drew about this at all?
Yes, I did.
Any thoughts? I'm very curious.
I made notes.
Oh.
So good news.
The end.
Anyway.
First off, aphasia doesn't mean that much. Like aphasia is not a joke. It's like a symptom. Or sorry, it's not
Of a head trauma?
Yes.
Or tumor?
Well, so here's how it works. Aphasia is not a specific clinical condition or diagnosis. It's like what Dr. Drew said. It's like saying, I have a fever. And then you go, okay, what brought on this fever? There's a bunch of other things that could bring it on. But he basically said it's a big deal. You know, the head trauma and the other, stroke. It's early onset dementia is pretty much what it is.
And, it's not reversible, I would imagine.
It's very serious. It doesn't seem reversible, and it's just basically early onset dementia.
Okay.
But aphasia is like saying I have a fever.
It's a symptom of
Right.
Well, it's very, very sad, but they did the right thing. I know it might sound like kind of a reach, but Brian, I just want you to take a guess throughout the big, big blockbuster movies of history. Who you think they've rescinded the other, and I'll give you a hint, only other Razzie for. It's a female from an iconic movie in, I think, technically the 70s.
Oh, God.
I'm putting a lot of pressure on you. Oh, no. But I think it'll make sense when I tell you. They rescinded Shelley Duvall for worst actress in The Shining after it came out how tortured she was by Stanley Kubrick and how he fucked her up so bad during the filming that they just wanted to leave her alone after that.
She's suffering from mental illness these days.
Yeah.
I thought she would have got it for Popeye. I didn't know.
I love
She
that
wasn't
movie.
bad in The Shining. I mean, she wasn't, it's
they gave
not
it to
celebrated.
Well, didn't Stephen King say I'm generalizing, but that movie was a mockery. That's not what I wrote.
Yeah,
so maybe that's where that was coming from.
He didn't like it.
She was supposed to be a stronger character.
Well, first, I thought I liked the idea that she was just so sort of odd and whatever. It struck me as real. You know what I mean? Like we do things where we hook them up with somebody's a little
Sybil Shepherd. It wouldn't have made sense.
Right.
Well, also what we do is he's a struggling author. They live in a small apartment, blah, blah, blah. Where did he pull this hot chick from? Yeah. You know what I mean? Now we're going, well, that's Jack, but not in the movie. It's not Jack. But so it's
Actually,
Johnny.
Actually, he is.
Is he?
No, Jack Torrance.
Oh, you're right.
Makes Jack a dull boy.
Oh, that's right. Here's Johnny. So I like that she was sort of odd and they seemed like a weird and her mannerisms or whatever, but I found her perfectly believable and sort of interesting in that role.
From what I remember, I think Stephen King shit on it because he wanted a stronger female presence and she just, screamed it and ran away from everything. So whatever.
It turned out well. I would say probably the best. Certainly the best up to a certain point. I mean, there's been some better Stephen King movies in the last couple decades, but for a while, there are a lot of stinkers.
Yeah.
I love The Shining.
Same. I actually watched it recently. So we didn't really talk about this at the top of the show. I thought this was where you were going. The State Department marked Transgender Day of Visibility Friday by offering the chance to get a passport in a new way. Previously, trans men and women would have to present medical evidence of surgeries in order to change the gender marker. But as of April 11th, coming up, there will be another option, an X, like Adam has on his license.
Not an X Carolla.
For those who choose not to identify as male or female. The rule also applies to people who are non-binary or intersexed. That's a thing, by the way. That's
intersex?
isn't that when you have the both?
Genitalia?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is all dogs on a fucking airplane, which is there's a very small group of the populace
And
who
then
actually
Carolla gets
needs
it.
to travel with their dog.
Yeah.
And then there's every fucking 15-year-old TikToker's heads being fucking poisoned who thinks this would be a cool idea to do. So I got the X on my my driver's license. I don't want to be a hypocrite. But
You're a champion.
You're benefiting.
You're a vanguard.
I was
a vanguard.
urged on by my young transitioning son
That's
at
right.
the DMV.
Solidarity.
This would be a funny goof. But can you imagine going to the DMV with your dad when you're a kid and go, hey, man, let's make some alterations here. It'll be funny. Like my dad would have hit me with a shoe.
Let's have a laugh.
But I would argue, though, at a certain point, you have to go, why do we have passports? And the ultimate, why do we have a passport is to make sure this person is this person. I mean, the ultimate non-passport is you just go, yeah, my name is Butch Johnson, so what of it? You know what I mean? You walk
Ask me again tomorrow.
walk past the person. So now we drill down and we go, well, what is your height? What is your weight? What gender, eye color? You know, so I would say like imagining or reimagining or living your life to your fullest of your inner whatever, it's all good. But when it comes to the international travel, probably best to pick a lane.
Yeah.
And then I'm not so sure other countries are so down with all this shit because remember, you're not using a passport to get from here to Indiana.
Right.
You may go into Dubai.
I was just going to
And
say.
the good folks of Dubai may not be
Friendly.
down with our crazy fucking progressive shit that we're doing here. So you may have some trouble in Dubai. Dawson's nodding his head.
Yeah, I was just going to say Uganda, probably the same thing.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, the new rule also eliminates the intimate physical pat down that TSA has traditionally performed when somebody's appearance doesn't match their gender. So now it's just you say it and that's all good.
It is
of-
all
Well, that's
good.
safe. That's
Look,
safety first.
can I brought this up a few times, but look, women pay, a considerably less amount for their auto insurance. Aren't we kind of at the point where I get to switch over and save a bundle?
That's a good point.
Want to get rid of my junk?
Discount double check.
Yes, I
Down
mean,
here.
can I just kind of go? Look, I'm a woman. If it works for the bathroom's got to work for State Farm, right? And I'd like a little break on my driving here.
Speaking of that, I didn't know that this really did cross over because it crossed over to security. It also crosses over to medical stuff because I just got my pre-op, not that pre-op, but my pre-op blood work done. And I was going through like the Quest stuff.
Finally getting rid of the dick.
That's right. And they tell you what everything is. And one of the tests is called, I didn't look it up beforehand, but it's called like non-African American something, like it's a, I don't know,
I've seen this.
whatever
All
it
the
is.
test results,
Yeah. And I put it, I clicked on information and it says like, this is, for people who identify as African American, you must add 2.1% to the total. Identify as African American.
Wow.
It's a higher count of something. in the
Right.
blood. I've
But
seen
for,
it, yeah.
for medical blood work.
Yeah, well, look, we are crossing into this place very quickly. I was around the whole time. Look, the world according to GARP. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like,
John
it's a
Lithgow.
Transexual, the transvestite,
I was just thinking about
whatever. It's like,
transvestite last night. Not a lot of transvestite talking.
No,
today.
that's not an appropriate word.
It was just a thing. It was
From
around.
transsexual
It was
Transylvania.
It was weird, but it was there, and people kind of got on with it. And then, it started to kind of permeate the culture. And then all of a sudden, we decided that this was, well, basically what Judd Apatow did with Pete Davidson. Somehow we decided we needed this all the time. Like, come on, Pete Davidson, what are you doing now? We're like. I was all right with my sprinkling of Pete Davidson, but now we decided like this is a thing and we have to do it. And then politicians and a lot of pundits and things like that, they just go, "What's everyone talking about?" All right, here we go, and now here we go. But no free lunches in nature, and there shall be something will happen based on it, or there will be. You will go and look. It's essentially it's like. Shutting down schools seems like a good idea. Check with me in 5 years to see if there was a part 2 of this and us sprinting toward this sort of transgender world. I mean, you're feeling it a little bit now with the the swimmer beating all the ladies in the pool and getting the NCAA championship. Like that's part two.
You know what's interesting, though? I was thinking about this the other day, and I don't remember when you said it, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, but I remember you saying, you were balancing like some two opposing ideas that you switched what you thought of them. And I remember the examples you gave for abortion and transitioning. And I thought that was really interesting. That always kind of stuck with me. And I'm wondering if you still have the same feelings about transitioning.
Well,
now.
It's dogs on a plane, which is if you have a legitimate problem with your sight or something like that, by all means, you should be able to travel with your dog. But you want to transition. You want to announce you're a chick when you got a dude beard and then walk into the ladies' locker room over at the Wii Spa. That's the nut job traveling with the dog they want to travel with that
Sneaking
doesn't actually.
in with
Yes. And unfortunately, there's way more of them than there are actually. Just look at the dog ratio at LAX. For every one legitimate blind person with a legitimate service dog, there was 128 nutty broads and their fucking chihuahuas. So keep in mind that will be it. Transition. Fine. Transition.
Have at it.
Announcing that you've transitioned and I want to stay in the ladies' side of the youth hostel. There's going to be a part 2 of that. All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news. You're a white lady, so shut up and stay in your lane.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Indianapolis, Indiana. That's going to be us at Helium. We'll do some live pods there. May 6th and 7th, and stand-up shows there. And then Huntington Beach. Sea Legs will all be out there. That's a fun place. Big outdoor venue. Live podcast there May 20th. Coming to Denver. Probably have Sonny with me on that trip. You can come out and say hi. Just go to adamcarolla.com for all the live shows. And you can pre-order my book, Everything Reminds Me of Something. It's available for pre-order as we speak. It'll come out July 19th. And Judd Apatow's got the books, got the movies, got the Carlin doc coming out soon. The man never stops cranking it out. Until next time, Sam McCrow, Gina Grad, and Ball Bryan, and Judd Apatow saying mahalo.
He had experimented with but never finished it. Second City in Chicago about a guy at a poker game and everyone trades sex stories. And he clearly is making his up. And so he's talking
feel like
about
a bag of sand.
Yeah. The weird one was that, and you put your hand down a girl's pants, you know how it smells like baby powder? That was the one that so he pitched that to me and I said, well, if you did that really real and human, it would be very funny.